Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Untangle webinar series. Today, we'll be showcasing our cloud-based centralized management solution, Command Center, and how that helps you utilize and manage all of your NG Firewall deployments. My name is Shannon Bonfiglio. I'm part of the marketing team here at Untangle, and I'll be your host today. I have with us Chad McNaughton, who will be taking us through the presentation and demo. Just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. Please be sure you're selecting the correct audio preference on the right-hand side. You will see the option to use your phone. If you do choose to use that, you will need to use the access code provided. You can always use your computer speakers as well. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to rewatch or share this webinar recording with anyone you wish. After the event has ended, we will be posting this webinar on our YouTube channel within 24 hours after this has ended. As always, we'll be answering questions throughout this presentation, so please submit any questions you have in the Q&A box on the right-hand side. We have a few staff members on hand to help answer those questions. And if we don't get to your question, or if you have a very specific question, please don't hesitate to email us at support@untangle.com or sales@untangle.com. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Chad.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. Thanks everyone for hopping on with us. As Shannon said, if something comes up and you can't make the whole webinar, we'll upload this to YouTube later today, shoot you a link, all that kind of stuff. What is Command Center, first of all? Command Center is our centralized management for all of your NG Firewall deployments. This is where you're going to be able to manage all of your devices, your subscriptions, and basically your entire, relationship with Untangle in a single pane. This is where you'll see all our cloud-based products and services. If you have an Untangle device that's connecting to the Untangle cloud, a big part of that is Command Center. This is part of our community webinar series, so we won't be doing real technical deep dives into things. It's not going to be, an hour of, diving through the software. What we're going to basically do is talk about how Command Center works and the value that it adds for you as a business, as an MSP, even as a user. I'm a guy who uses Untangle at home. Shocking, right? I got a pretty good deal on it, but I only have one server. I don't have multiple Untangles around the world, but I still use Command Center every single week, almost every day, to just jump in and see reports, remote into my servers, see what's happening, see if any of my neighbors have jumped on my Wi-Fi on their iPad. That's been a common thing lately. And Command Center is just there. It just lets me hop in and get all that information. So some of the benefits of having all this information in the cloud: you're able to easily manage multi-site deployments without additional hardware. We don't need any kind of centralized management device. This is all hosted by Untangle. You can get alerting, threat history, audit logs across all sites. As I said, you can manage licensing, even software updates and backups, and I'll show you some of that stuff here when we get over to my demo account. And this is doing great things to reduce management and overhead costs. Untangle, as you know, works with small to medium businesses. And we are a small business. Untangle has less than 50 employees. So if we had a remote office that was 3 hours away from our headquarters, we don't always have to send someone out there anymore to manage that device. We can do it centrally through the cloud. So, that 2-hour drive out to a remote site just to get into that device, et cetera, doesn't have to be that way anymore, and we're also eliminating the need to leave vulnerable rules open, things like enabling remote access, SSH on your gateway IP, that kind of thing. Another cool thing we're able to do now is clone, edit, and then push policies across your entire fleet. And that's one of the things I'll show you guys here in my demo account. We'll actually be able to choose a master appliance and say, I want to send this configuration to other appliances. So this is becoming ideal for MSPs and MSSPs because we're giving you something like a turnkey configuration finally. So this has been something we've talked about for a long time at Untangle. Our MSPs should be able to say, well, I focus primarily on K through 12 schools and insurance offices. There's no reason you couldn't be able to set up a K through 12 school master template, save it in your cloud, and basically push that to all other devices for those industry customers. So we would be able to create kind of a turnkey configuration for you. Just save that in your account. It's a really, really nice feature. And it's something I'm suggesting to lots and lots of potential partners here with Untangle. So just a kind of a feature recap, what's new in Command Center. We do have a lot of new features, as I said, pushing policies, syncing policies across multiple devices. We're able to do that now for your entire fleet. And I'm going to show you guys all this stuff when we jump over here to my account. And some of the other new things are more account access and settings, things like creating users who only have limited access to certain servers. If you're an MSP and you have a few technicians on staff, you don't want them having access to your subscriptions, to your billing, your credit card information, that kind of stuff. So we could actually create them as a user and assign them a server or 2 or 3 or 4 that they have access to. And then they can actually only see those servers when they log into Command Center. They'll never see your account information. I think some of the really, really handy features are auto assigning subscriptions now. That's a new feature for Command Center. If you buy a subscription and you have a server, there's a checkbox in Command Center now to go ahead and just auto assign any new subscription. We'll show you more of that stuff here when I jump into the account, but some of the new features are really handy. We're basically trying to get to less touches. We want you to be able to get these things set up quicker, more easily, and not always have to be on site for everything anymore. So now the way it stands is you get the box online, you throw the keyboard, mouse, and monitor in the closet, and then you're good to go. You can do all this remotely. So that's a really big step for Untangle, I think, is being able to do all this, from the cloud. The policy pushing is a really, really big feature. We'll show you that stuff here. When we jump in to Command Center, it basically takes you right into a dashboard. This is a single pane that's showing alerts, audit histories, any block threats, recent hosts, geographical session information. So it's just a single pane showing everything aggregate across all your devices. So it's a really handy thing to just take a peek at. That's why I have it bookmarked in all my browsers. I just go take a quick peek once a day, every other day or so. Another really great feature is the alert system in Command Center. This is where we can actually replicate alerts from the device into the cloud. There are a lot of really handy alerts on your Untangle server. If we can replicate those in the cloud, I feel like that's a little bit of redundancy, and it's nice because maybe your box is offline. It's not going to send any alerts when it's offline, but we can copy that string into the cloud as like an offline alert. We can also set up notification profiles here. Again, for MSPs, folks like that, this is really handy because we can set up different users with different types of notification profiles. So maybe Jim wants to get emails, and maybe Tiffany wants to get PagerDuty and SMS message. So we have a lot of different ways to set up the notification profiles when we go into the alert system in Command Center. You'll also get a notification log. This is, of course, pretty handy. It's very similar to what we're doing on your server. We just need a log of those notifications. So anything that comes in and hits one of those notification profiles, we'll also have a log of it right there, just in your Command Center under alerts. So obviously some of the best features are under the appliances menu, because this is where we come in and actually start kind of doing the cool things. Remote access is in here. This is where we can do software updates. It's cool because we can do bulk upgrades. So you can see on my screen right there, if I was to go choose all of those devices, well, not the red ones, those don't have active licensing, I would be able to then just go click update software. I can do bulk upgrades now. So you're seeing an actual dashboard for just this appliance. When we get over to the appliances screen, you'll click on a single appliance. And if you want it, you have remote access there. You can set a tag. Quick pro tip, this tag is a very different word than tag on the Untangle server. I get that question sometimes. All you're doing here when you do set tag is you're creating a label for that server. So it's just a label for you to remember the server by, whether it's site A, headquarters, et cetera, et cetera. This is also where you'll see specific alerts and threats based on the actual appliance. This is an aggregate. This is also where you can assign licensing to appliances. You can come in and say, I'm going to add this appliance. I go choose this subscription, and I just add it. When I get to my demo account, I'll show you guys how most of this works. I'll be a bit limited, obviously, because I don't have a brand new unpaid subscription sitting there. But I'll show you how all this looks here when you jump into Command Center. It really wouldn't be an Untangle product without good reporting, right? So this is going to be a handy feature because it's aggregate reporting of all your deployments. Like I was saying on the dashboard there, you see pretty much everything in a single pane, just kind of quick reports, threats, notifications. But if you go over to reports, you get some interesting things. You'll see right there, we're looking at a bandwidth control report that's showing top applications by bandwidth. So it looks to me like that network has a Dropbox problem, and they might want to go throttle that or block it. You see YouTube in there as well. That's not YouTube.com. That's the mobile app they're looking at. So as good as the Untangle reporting is on Box, Command Center is doing its best to replicate that. So you will get 30 days of reporting in Command Center. Obviously, if you need to go farther than that, we've got the Untangle server reports, that can keep up to a year of history. And then you'll see audit history, bandwidth control, events, web filter. These are some of the features that we're always working on. Don't expect this to be the end of the reports that you'll see in Command Center. I'm not real sure what that feature set looks like coming, but there's always more reports being added. It's still Untangle, right? We don't be shy about reports. So we want to give you more rather than less. Some of the just handy tools and account settings. We do offer multi-factor authentication. If you want people to use two-factor to log into Command Center, we can do that. And this is a very responsive interface if you're signing on a mobile device. For anyone who's ever remoted into an Untangle server on a phone or a tablet, you'll know it just really doesn't matter what you log in on. It's going to just kind of scale to match the display. I use my Android phone for Command Center a lot, and it just kind of looks the same. I love it. We also now offer GDPR support. So this is, General Data Protection Restrictions, I believe. This has been a big thing in Europe. We have a lot of international clients, so we do have options now to request your electronic records from Untangle. So there's a button for that in Command Center under your account if you need it. GDPR has been a good thing overseas, and it's the kind of standards that we can expect here in the States before too long, I would imagine. So Untangle is basically prepared for that, and we do have support for it there in the account itself. So some of the fun stuff, policies through the cloud. This is where we can create a template to push to other devices. We can actually push and sync one configuration to lots of devices. We can come in and basically set a master appliance and say, I want this device to have its configuration sent out to all the other devices that I check. So that's a fun new thing we can do here in Command Center. Sync support available. We can just click sync now and basically just sync all devices at once. And I'll show you how that looks. I've only got 2 devices to sync here, but we'll go through a little sync in my demo. The template will actually come from a configuration backup. So if you don't have any recent configuration backup files, we'll obviously need to make one. You will go to your configuration, your server where there's a configuration that you like. You want to make that your master. We'll do a config backup. I'll show you how to do that. And then that's going to be available as a template in your cloud. And this is where you can manage the templates if you need to, if you want to come in and say, this is the template for these 4, this is the template for these. There's a lot of different things we can do with policies in Command Center. And we do have documentation on this as well on our support knowledge base. If we if we talk about anything that confuses you guys, you don't get your questions answered, as Shannon said, feel free to email us at support@untangle.com or at sales@untangle.com. We can get you some more documentation. So let's jump over to my Command Center account real quick and see what some of this actually looks like. So as I said, I'm signed into basically a demo account here. This is for our sales engineers here. So I'll be able to do 90% of everything we just talked about. You'll see that even though I've got licensing, I'm getting a little alert. So I wanted to show you guys this. There are some basically compliance requirements for Command Center and a device. The first one is that it's got to be on our newest version or the most recent version. So only 2 versions are supported here. And it's got to be running the NGFW complete package to be fully remotely manageable in Command Center. So when that's happening, you have full remote access. So here on my dashboard, you'll see that I've logged in from Denver, Colorado, out here in our office. You see I've got a couple of alerts. Any recent hosts, audits are basically just logins. So this is showing me logging in on my MacBook from our Denver office. You can also see this is a demo account, so there's not a lot of information in here, but these are the kinds of reports that we just throw on the dashboard: top domains, top apps by bandwidth. As I said, this is all 30 days of information. You'll see I have one box that's a little busier than the other. So all we're looking at is just the devices using up my bandwidth right there. It looks like 140 is the winner. So your dashboard is, it's not like the Untangle dashboard on the server. This isn't a widget system that's customizable like that one is, but this is a really good kind of high level peek at aggregate information across your fleet. If you do think there should be another pane of information here, another report, we do have a suggest idea button here now. This is one of my favorite new additions to Command Center. It takes you to feedback.untangle.com. So if you have a suggestion for Command Center or a suggestion for the actual NG Firewall product, just click right there and tell us your suggestion. You know, this is a really good time for Untangle as a company. We're in idea mode. All of our products are stable. They're working really well. Word of mouth is getting around. You know, we're making a couple of waves here, but as it stands, we're still a real small company and we can listen to our community. So if you do have ideas, please tell us what those ideas are, whether it's for Command Center or just for the product itself. So you can also click help right there, and that'll take you out to our support knowledge base. You can create a ticket here if you need to, you know, get with our support team, et cetera, et cetera. As I mentioned, we do have some documentation on Command Center though that we can shoot over to. So what we're looking at here is aggregate reporting. I think I had some audio trouble there, sorry about that. So what we're seeing is just basically everything from one fleet. I only have 2 in my fleet, so we're seeing audits, logins, etc. If we click over here to alerts, this is where I can create a new alert rule. So basically we would come in here and we would say, I want to copy this string from my Untangle boxes alert. That's a real simple thing for us to do. We just copy it and throw it in here, and then we've basically duplicated that alert in the cloud, and we set that to either active or disabled. So that's the actual creation of the alert. We would then probably need to create a notification profile though. So this is where we can say, do we want emails? Do we want a Slack channel notification? Do we want to get an SMS, etc.? We need to set up BCCs, and then if you want to do a specific email, that's how we do that. Then the notification log, as I said, is just going to show you a breakdown of all the notifications that have come through. So these are my appliances. You'll see if I click on one of them, it's going to take me right in to that appliance detail, or I can just check the box here. So it's kind of an either or thing, whichever one. This is where I said we could come in and set a tag. If I wanted to, I could say, you know, server at headquarters. It's really just a label for your own reference. So once you click into the appliance, you'll get some different reports. You'll see here it's showing my CPU load, any active licenses. I mentioned this is a demo account, so we don't see any actual licensing right there. Any recent hosts, alerts, similar to the dashboard, but just a little bit deeper dive because we're singled into one appliance here. So as I said earlier, I can also say I want to add licensing right here. If I have a subscription that's not assigned to a server, it'll show up right there, and I'll go choose that license. I can also update software for both of these if I wanted to. So I could click that right there if I select them both. Or if it's an individual one, I can click right here. I'm not going to do this right now because that would probably go start updating. You can see it looks like I've got an update available. So that's likely going to go upgrade me. If I need to delete this, I can either click right here and remove appliance, or we can always come over here and delete. So if you, for example, reinstall Untangle, that will generate a new UID number, and then you'll probably want to come in here and remove the old dead server. You'll see it in red. It won't be active anymore, won't have licensing. So if we jump over to reports, I'm going to skip policies. We'll end on that. this is what we were looking at earlier in the slides. So bandwidth control reports, top apps by bandwidth. I don't really have any mobile apps. If we look at my audit history, we'll see a few of those logins that we were just talking about. You see I've done a backup restoration here. So I did a config template. So that's just kind of a quick little, audit report to let me know that this happened on the server from Command Center. So as I said, there's some really handy reports in here. Total bandwidth consumption over the last month, web filter reports, top domains by request, things like that. Always, keep an update or keep an eye for updates because we do push reports out. Those are features that we're always trying to kind of top ourselves with, to be honest. I think people have gotten pretty spoiled to the on-box reporting on Untangle. So obviously we're trying to get this as close to that as possible. However, I doubt you get 400 cloud reports anytime soon. So it's a really big reporting engine on the box. We're doing what we can to replicate that here in the cloud, though. So I mentioned the tools earlier too. This is a real quick, easy just search. You can search for an IP or a URL or even a MAC address that's coming through one of your boxes. Just a quick, easy way to drill down into some information. And then I also wanted to show over here on the account page. So there are a few interesting options over here. So this is where I was saying we could actually create a user. So I'm going to create myself as a user. I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to create myself as a user. So that's been sent to me in an email now. So what I then do is I come over here and I say, well, this person is only going to have access to this device. So those have been updated. So now the next time I log in here, I'll see that I can only access that server. I won't be able to get into the actual settings. I won't see any of this stuff. I won't see the subscriptions. This account settings is something I wanted to touch on as well. So if you're setting up boxes in Untangle Command Center and you're expecting to see remote access, you may actually need to come over here to account settings and enable it first. So I always enable automatic login as well. And if you like the sound of an old school dial-up modem, you can play the connection audio. But this is where we come in and say, I want to auto assign subscriptions. If you want to do log out timeouts, we can do that here. This is also where you can request your electronic record, like I said earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this here real quick. So they've been updated. If I need to apply these real settings, you either do a hard refresh. I find it's better to just log out and back in real quick, especially if you're doing something like enabling remote access there. So this is the settings. This is some really, really handy stuff. This is where you create remote access. Like I said, this is where the users are. So that's all under account, then my account right there. So the policies here are kind of the deepest dive in Command Center. But as I said, I've only got 2 devices, so we'll just do a quick, kind of master slave sync and show you guys what that looks like. So if I want to create a template, I can come choose one of my devices right here. I can also just say, click this one and then manage that template. So my template master is coming from this device. If I want to change that target, I can change it here. I can just say both. I also have this box here to sync all new appliances. This is what I was saying earlier for MSPs. If you're focused on a certain industry, maybe all of your customers are, doctors' offices or police stations, something like that. You could have that configuration saved in the cloud as a turnkey template, basically. Then every time you deploy a new box, Untangle through Command Center is just going to sync the appliances for you. So they'll automatically be added to that template and then just sync to your master appliance. So as I said, if you want, just create kind of a master template and then just let them automatically sync if you need to. So I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to actually create a template from this box. And now it's going to tell me to choose a configuration backup. So whichever one of these I need, ideally you would keep these pretty straight. I've only got 2, so I'm probably going to choose the most recent one. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to say, let's do this. And if I hit next, this is that screen that we were just looking at. So which box do I want to sync to? So I'm going to go ahead and say box 2 and then sync. I hear someone, oh, I didn't sync that one right. I hear someone unmuted. Does someone have a question or?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Good. This is basically what we're looking at. This is my demo box, guys, by the way. That's why that's synced, because I don't have active licensing right there. So when you create a template, it's there forever. You just create a template, it's your master appliance. So once you hit sync now, that's just going to pull that down to all the other boxes that are connected to the Untangle cloud. So within your actual Untangle, we need to be connected to the Untangle cloud under config system. And then from there, obviously all the boxes have to have matching licensing. So when you go into Command Center, you're going to see all your boxes. You might see those red flags like I saw. So that's what will prevent you from doing things like remote access, something like that. This box right here, if I wanted to, I can just get remote access. That's pretty annoying. That basically takes you through our SSL proxy. You don't need any kind of remote tool, any apps, anything like that. If you're a Command Center user, it's going to assume admin level access, and it's just going to bounce you into that box. So there's my server that's starting up. So that's kind of what it looks like. The more servers you have, honestly, in Untangle, in Command Center, the more value this adds. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but your first 5 eligible servers in here will show up completely for free. They'll be there for full-on remote management, up to 5. And then after that, there's a pricing structure that your sales reps can let you know about. I'm not real sure what the prices are offhand. But this is Command Center in a nutshell. It's centralized management for your entire fleet. Quick remote access with one click. And then obviously, if you need it, we have lots of documentation, things like that about Command Center. And our entire support team is here to help. If you're not seeing something you're looking for, if you're having trouble getting around, navigating, I don't think it's nearly as hard to drive as the Untangle UIs by any means. It's a lot simpler. But if you do have any questions, don't be shy about contacting support at untangle.com or your sales rep at sales@untangle.com. Shannon, do we have any questions kind of hanging out that haven't gotten answered yet? Or?
Yeah, not too many questions, but there was one question about how to tag the appliances. I don't know if that's something you can show, how you can kind of tag and to be able to organize if someone
Sure.
has multiple sites.
On the appliance itself, you actually come over here and do set tag. So that's what I was saying earlier. This is, I actually had this very specific question in pre-sales last week. Someone thought they were doing the same kind of tagging that Untangle does in the config. And it's a very different kind of thing. We're not doing any kind of automated, tagging or triggering. We're not putting a label on a MAC address as a host. We're tagging your server with just the label. So if you want to say, this is a server in Denver, that's just going to come up as a label now. So that's just an additional label to the host name. You can see I also have custom host names over here. So that helps too, because as default, you'll just see untangle.example.com, but you can go to config network hostname and change that right there as well. So just click on the appliance in Command Center, and then there's a little set tag button right there.
Great. I don't think there were too many other questions. If you do have a question, please submit them in the Q&A box on the right-hand side, and we'll try and get to them as we kind of wrap up here.
Yeah, like Shannon said, shoot them over there. We've got people answering questions still. I just wanted to go through a couple more slides here. We've got a lot of word of mouth about Untangle. I mentioned that earlier. Untangle's a real small company, but our software is doing some really interesting things. As you can see, we've just won, a Gold Stevie, couple of real interesting awards in there. Our customer service technical support teams win us awards every year. You know, there's about 50,000 Untangle installs worldwide, something like that, with 4 or 5 support techs, you know, and they average a 97% satisfaction rate every month, something like that. You can see we're also getting a little bit of love over on things like Spiceworks. They think we're the best software firewall, best content filtering appliance. And I always mention our user forums in every pre-sales call I do, because they're a really, really, really helpful community. Untangle is a Linux Debian product, so we're pretty active in the Debian community. The Untangle user forums are great. They're not like, you know, posting a thread on Reddit or something like that where people instantly, you know, de-pants you and make fun. This is a forum answered by our founder and our engineers and our QA team and our support techs and some of our power users. You know, we do have a few users out there whose word is almost gospel as well. So don't be shy about posting on the user forums. It's a really, really helpful community. If you're also looking for, you know, some case studies, quotes, things about Untangle, if you're just kind of in the research phase, kicking the tires a little bit, on our website, there's a lot of case studies, a lot of quotes, testimonials, things like that. Untangle's branched out into a lot of different industries now. You know, so everything from K-12 to, you know, public sector and even, you know, private industry, government, things like that. We're branching out into a lot of different sectors. So there's all kinds of good research tools and case studies and things like that on our site. I believe that's about all I've got on the slide deck. Shannon, I'll toss it back to you.
Thanks, Chad. Yeah, just a few seconds here while I talk about some of our promotions that are going on right now. First off is our Untangle Security Upgrade Program. So this is for those that either have an existing Untangle subscription or appliance or have a competitor's and you're looking to trade in or trade up, you know, even just kind of researching us. We do offer some good pricing and discounts on that. So please just give us a call or email us today to kind of to find out what those incentives could be. And then still going on is our August promo. We never do these type of promotions. So 15% off software packages for the month of August, which is less than 2 weeks now till the end of August. So that's any software packages. Granted, there are some exclusions. So you can, if you just go to the buy page, you can see the promo on there and put it in there. And if you're not quite sure what applies, you can either give us a call or chat with us. Email us, sales@untangle.com, if you want to kind of get some more info about that. I think that's about it. Chad did mention we have our support page as well as the forums and the wiki, which is our technical documentation. So please visit those if you were not able to get your question answered. And as always, we're here, support@untangle.com, to help with anything that you may need moving forward. Thank you all for attending today, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks, Chad.